Hello, hi, good morning. This is Cairo from ICE Chat, Innovation, Change, and Entrepreneurship, helping people get back on their feet is good economics. Today is Friday, 22nd May. I'm with a special guest. See you in 4 minutes.
Our viewers don't think they're going to be back, that their businesses are going to be back to normal conditions until sometime in 2021, which is probably about a year from now. So give us a sense of how long you think it's going to take and how big a hole we're going to have to fill.
Well, the holes to incomes in the United States, we estimate somewhere in the vicinity of $5 trillion, and the holes in the world economy is probably somewhere in the vicinity of $20 trillion. And we look at particularly who has what holes, and then how they'll be filled. So the economy, as a result of this, so the real economy, which is goods, services, production, and all of that, um, in the world over the next year, will probably have a fall of maybe 4 or 5%, which is a bigger fall. This is a bigger event than the 2008 financial crisis, and it's most comparable to the 1930 to 45 period of time in terms of the size of the hole, the unemployment rates, and those types of impact. And then we'll adapt. One of the great things about the greatest force is in humanity and the greatest force in productivity is the capacity of humans to adapt and change the way they're doing things. And we're doing that right now. And so I'm pretty confident that the inventiveness, the adaptation will bring us to a new way of operating. And let's say if you take that decline, that'll be a peak to trough decline of somewhere in that magnitude. That will get past that, but it'll be a total new world order. The world won't resemble the world that we're used to. It's going to change in various ways. So it's a big hole. It's not a unsustainable hole because the capacity of producing money and credit is unlimited. It means that we have to look at what is the value of money and credit. Okay, that new world. What is the value of money and credit? What is a storehold of wealth? Okay, you just can't produce it without it having its effect on its value. And so while we talk about production, we'll adapt and we'll get past it. But how wealth will change will be very, very big and different.
All right, good morning. Thank you once again for special topic today pandemic economy versus previous economy, where are we heading? So with me today, this morning, we have a special guest, which is Shan Saeed. Hi Shan, good morning Shan.
Good morning, Carol.
Hi,
Assalamu
good to
alaikum to
see you.
everyone.
Welcome, salam. Give a big hand to Shan. Thank you for joining us. So how are you Shan this morning?
Carol, so far so good, Alhamdulillah, no complaints.
No complaint. That's good. Yeah, that's a good spirit, right? Okay, Sean. So we have this interesting topic from our viewers about the pandemic economy and the previous economy, right? So before we go into that, can you maybe share with us a little bit about the impact of MCO, the movement control order that we have in Malaysia and many parts of the world, the lockdown? Does it really bad, or is it just bad, or is it just so? I mean, your thought as a chief economist, please.
Uh, Carol, I talk about the global economy first. The lockdown globally has cost 25 to 30 trillion dollars to the global economy, and that is massive. 25 to 30 trillion dollars is not a small amount. So I think obviously when you have 150 countries out of 195 countries, almost 75% of your global economy was locked down and they were not doing business globally. I think it's a huge impact, especially on productivity and manufacturing. So yes, it has cost global economy immensely, but at the same time, there have been opportunities for people, especially the gig economy. It picked up very fast. So in every crisis, in every crisis, you have opportunities and you have cost. How you pick up things from that situation, it depends on you. As far as Malaysia is concerned, the economy did show some strength. It is not as bad as some people thought. The first quarter GDP is 0.7, which is understandable because economy did slow down. But we expect Malaysian economy to stabilize by December 2020. It will take 2 quarters for Malaysian economy to stabilize. So once it stabilizes, then the growth momentum should pick up at a very fast pace next year.
Right. So it seems like Sean, the lockdown not just affecting major countries, but also the developing economies and also the third world economies. How different is that at the global level? The lockdown has impacted the rich country, like US, Europe, compared to the least developed country in that situation.
Harold, it has impacted all countries, whether rich or poor. It has made an impact on all countries. COVID-19 has been a wild card. Till December, January, nobody was talking about it. It started picking up the attention of mainstream media and by many economies in February onwards. So I think, yes, it did make an impact across all countries. All countries suffered economically, and it has been destructive for some economies where they have not planned accordingly. So this COVID-19, the pandemic, it has taught some important lessons that you need to go long on cash. You need to have alternative plan, that is contingency plan, and you need to have your backup resources so that you can have your BCP, business continuity plan, without interruption. So I think you
Right.
need to go long on cash, you need to have alternative plan, and you need to focus on your BCP, which is
Right.
very.
Yeah. Okay, Sean. Now, in terms of the economy, we understandably know there's an impact. You mentioned about the opportunities. What are those, Sean?
I think in these tempestuous time, one thing that has come up very strongly is the gig economy.
Mm-hmm.
People from working from home. Yes, productivity issues, it differs when you're in office, when you're at home. But I think going forward, I don't see many offices. You don't need big offices. Uh, I see a lot of things being done from the house. Zoom has taken in as the new variable for meetings. You don't need to travel. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to travel to various
Yeah.
countries. I can do Zoom meeting.
Right.
So I think technology has taken a major role in this lockdown, in this pandemic variable, which has made a huge impact. So a lot of meetings can be done through Zoom, a gig economy, outsourcing. A lot of outsourcing has the work has picked up. So I think technology, outsourcing, gig, and the Zoom economy will be the new variables, the new norms for the global economy in the next 6 to 12 months. And as I speak right now, the next 2 months are very crucial for global economy because many economies are opening up. So that will give forward guidance to other economies who are still in the lockdown situation. So once these economies will open up, they will give future guidance not only to themselves but also for those economies who are trying to open up after 3 4 months. So I think there are opportunities in every situation. If you look at Malaysia, uh, the DG health, in every crisis situation, you have leadership that emerges. In Malaysia, one person has really brought Malaysia back into the global arena is the DG Health, Datu Noor. The way he handled the pandemic and giving briefing every day with facts and figures, he has got strong credibility and integrity not only in Malaysia but also globally. That he has been acknowledged as one of the authorities who have given and who have done a remarkable job in handling this crisis.
Yeah.
So I think in every crisis opportunity there is leadership, there is opportunities for businesses, is how you look at it.
Hmm. Yeah, amazing that you quoted that. Very interesting, Shan, because I do agree. Because recently I did a presentation on looking at Malaysia major economies, major crisis in this from 1985, and the commodity crisis up until 2020. And you're right, spawn over there that there's always leadership emerging from this situation, taking control, and many of our solution somehow able to put back the economy on track. Although, like for example, in 1998, the unorthodox way, there's a totally a new creative model of pegging the ringgit, against the dollar. So hopefully that emerges. Said, I mean, in the situation right now, like you mentioned, the DG Health, Dato' Noh Hisham, showing sheer leadership in the situation. But I think, Shan, like you mentioned just now people are comfortable working from home. I mean, this is could be true, but I also hearing from some of my clients are talking about they probably no longer want to have a bigger offices, move out. Would this affect the property market, Shan, which already on hangover?
Uh, you see, it depends. As you rightly said, some people they are not in favor of big offices. So they have to reconsider and they have to revisit their business strategy, their corporate strategy going forward. So as I said, this pandemic has provided opportunity for many investors to rethink and to realign their business model as per the market forces. And the market forces are having different views for this pandemic. So there might be people who are saying, "Oh, there is a lot of crisis," but there are people who would take this crisis as an opportunity to reduce their cost, to increase their revenue through unorthodox means. So I think there's a new way of doing business, and the new way of doing business will involve a lot of technology. In the same way, like technology is making impact across all industries, it is also making an impact across all asset classes, including real estate. We at Juwai IQI, we have given our agents the technology boost, the technology framework, and we have recently launched Juwai Asia, a portal where the buyers and the sellers, we share market intelligence report, we share global macro with our clients, and our agents are financially and economically and socially empowered by visiting this portal because they get access to all the top class information, they get access to all the top class listing, and they, most importantly, they interact with those sophisticated and smart clients who are looking for quality advice. And during MCO, you will be surprised that our agents were going Facebook Live every day without fail, because there was restriction. You cannot go out and you cannot go for meetings. You cannot have congregation of big people. So the agents use Facebook for reaching out to clients, sharing information, sharing. Once the MCO eases, you can always consider looking at those properties. So I think at IQI we are quite buoyant on the growth story of ASEAN and Asia, and China holds the key. China is the second largest economy of the world, and if China picks up strongly, which is China is doing right now, other economies that are aligned, especially in Belt and Road, they will also pick up very quickly. And ASEAN countries will also pick up, because historically speaking, they have strong ties with China, and the trade links are very strong.
Right. Talking about China, major economies of China and US. I want to first touch US, Shan. I mean, do you think that the US is in denial still about the impact of COVID? I mean, why are they still no haphazard responding to the situation now in the US?
I think there was a poor strategy in US in handling this crisis as compared to China, where they had a very specific market-driven approach in handling this crisis. So I think China has done a remarkably good job in handling this COVID-19 crisis as compared to US, which is, as you rightly said, they're still in denial. Many states they want to open, some states they don't want to open. People are getting fidgety. Nobody wants to sit at home and to do their work. People want to go back to office and they want to go back to workplace so that the productivity comes back. So in the short run, I was talking at Astro Avani this morning. In the short run, we will see productivity issues. We will have structural issues in demand side. But moving forward, once the people are back into the marketplace, they're back to offices, we expect productivity to go up in US, and we expect the aggregate demand to pick up, not as fast as China, but at least slowly and gradually.
Right. I mean, compared to these two economies, Shan, I want to touch a bit on the way it's being run. One is on democracy, one is on communism. Do you think this still part of the reason why the people respond or differently in their behavior? I mean, your thought about this?
I think democracy has failed in US. There is no democracy. It has
Right.
not really worked. And the challenge is they try to impose their democracy and their ideas and their philosophies on other countries. And they talk about human rights and animal rights and democracies and other variables. But the thing is, every country has got its own policy framework, culture, people, habits, likes and dislikes. And that particular country is in the best situation to decide how democracy should function, how animal rights and human rights should function. So I think they don't need dictation from US or from Western countries when they talk about human rights, about democracy. So I think democracy works only where you have literacy 100%. I can give you my experience with Malaysia from 8th May 2018 to 10th May 2018. People changed the government without fighting, without going onto the streets, without carrying guns or any other thing. So they changed the government in a very civilized, in a very politically mature manner, and most importantly, they used their voting rights to change the government. Not many people, not many countries have emulated that thing from Malaysia. So I quote Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, when he came to Institute of Strategic Study on 4th February. He quoted, and I quote him, he said, the beauty of Malaysia is you have three races, you have three religions, it's multicultural, multilateral, but the beauty of Malaysia is the people live in total harmony, and the outlook of the economy is based on how people work with each other, how productivity shapes up, and above all, how government takes care of everyone. So I think Malaysia is one such example where democracy has worked and is functioned to its true spirits. Yes, there are some shortcomings in every system. You can have democracy, you have dictatorship, you have communism, you have centrally controlled systems in some economies. But it depends what people want. At the end of the day, people drive the economy, people drive what is important for them, and they give direction to the governments.
Right. Thanks for the thought, Shan. Shan, I mean, talking about businesses, right? We have a number of businesses now already back to the world, like logistics, manufacturing. What's your thought about? You mentioned just now about what we call like the gig economy. Many of the gig economy also previously like startup and small entrepreneurs using co-working space, right? But I got one report that I read recently about co-working space is dead. Company like WeWork, company like what else? A few others, in Malaysia, because the property market now is going down, and they spend so much money to build their co-working space. What's your thought about this post-COVID situation?
I think co-working space is the future. It's one of the areas where investors are looking very closely. But the other thing is, you have big players coming into the real estate market. Alibaba recently took position in Singapore commercial real estate, and they spent $1.2 billion. That gives direction to the real estate market, as we have shared with our sophisticated and valued investors. Real estate is the new global currency. And these players, these big players like Alibaba and others, when they enter into the market, they draw a lot of attention from these press and media people. And if we draw parallels, what China is doing right now is similar what the Japanese did in 1980s. When Japanese they got money, they started buying overseas real estate in New York and Chicago. The Chinese are doing the same. They are doing real estate buying in US, in Canada, in UK, in Malaysia, in other parts of the world, Vietnam, Thailand. So I think many big players, they will come back into the market, and we already shared 5 years back in our book, which is available on the internet, real estate the new global currency. The Chinese buyers hold the key for real estate market outlook for next 5 to 10 years. And the reason is very simple. Chinese consumers hold $2.5 trillion in their wealth. So name a single country that has got $2.5 trillion for their consumers. Not many countries.
Right.
And as you know, China has got 800 million people out of poverty in the last 35 years. So China holds a key for real estate market not only in Malaysia but globally as well.
Right. Right. I think we see some news that they're already now starting to shopping spree, around not just in retail market but also in the real estate market. There's a recent news, Shan, that in the New York Stock Exchange, a lot of China-based company been delisted, plan to be delisted from the stock exchange. What's your thought about that?
I think it remains to be seen. But I see going forward there will be a lot of sanctions against China, and China is going to retaliate with those sanctions. As you know that President Trump talked about, I will get jobs back into US. It's not that easy. Apple iPhone is not made wholly or assembly in China. There are so many parts that are coming from various countries. So to say that Apple will bring jobs back to China, to US, it's a fallacy. Japanese are trying to do the same with their companies to bring jobs back from China to Japan. Again, it's a fallacy. Because companies have already decided their capex for the next 3 to 5 years. They've already made decisions on their hiring spree, on their headcounts. They've already made budget and its outlook for the next 3 to 5 years. So to ask a company to pull out of China and to relocate to US and create 5 to 10,000 jobs, it looks very fancy on table, but practically speaking, it doesn't make any sense to me. So Yes, Chinese companies will face a lot of sanctions. In 1973, Henry Kissinger said whoever takes control of money and oil will control the global economy. After 47 years, the mantra has changed. So I am saying whoever takes control of money, oil, technology will rule the global economy. And technology is the most advanced and most important for the productivity outlook. So
Right.
the labor market that is tech savvy, that is whose productivity is strong because they are tech savvy, they will move much faster as compared to other economies.
Talking about this, Shan, where do you see Malaysia is heading? Because we definitely not a big country, very small country. Definitely money is on our side. We are all producing country, but still not as big of a size. And technology, of course, we're still a consumption economy. We're not so much of a creator of technology. So where do you see Malaysia heading? How we can leverage on the situation?
Malaysia can leverage from this situation on only one variable, and that variable is the labor productivity. I shared in one of my interviews in Banama that the thing that can carry Malaysia forward is the people. 95% of Malaysia's population people have got smartphones. Two-thirds of the populations, around 21 million people, they are tech savvy. In the next 5 to 10 years, only those economies will flourish, only those economies will move ahead where people are tech savvy, where people are productive, where people are educated enough that their skill set is driven according to market situation. They will drive the economy. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about labor productivity. And in China, who is driving the growth is labor. So in China, they have changed their business model from outward looking to inward looking. They are encouraging domestic demand to flourish. Once domestic demand will flourish, whether it's traveling, whether it's home buying, or whether it's supporting industries, that will attract FDI coming into the country. So I think many countries will change the economic model and they will focus on the domestic aggregate demand to attract FDI in the long run.
Would FDI still the a game or leverage that Malaysia can use, or can we use more of the internal economy to generate the GDP that we need, Shan?
Absolutely, internal external economies are becoming very vital, and Malaysia's advantage is that Malaysia has got Strait of Malacca. Out of 124 straits, two straits are important. One is Strait of Hormuz, which is close to Iran, and the second one is Strait of Malacca. 80% of China's trade move from west to east through Strait of Malacca. 40% of the global oil supplies move from Strait of Hormuz, which is close to Iran, and Strait of Malacca, which is close to Malaysia. And people have been saying that China is going to dump and China is going to leave Malaysia. I said that is
Yeah.
not true because China needs Malaysia more than ever. And in 2017, when I was attending the World Bank and IMF annual meeting, the first topic that was touched upon was Belt and Road. And the countries that were important in Belt and Road landscape are the ones who are falling into the southern corridor: Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Djibouti, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. So I think Malaysia can leverage from her people and from her strategic geography. Strategic geography has become very, very important for some countries. So I asked the question, when people ask me, can we change Malaysia's geography and say, oh, we don't like, staying over here. We want to be next to, let's say, France. No. Geography will remain stable for the next 100 to 200 years. It's how you can benefit and how you can leverage from strategic geography for your benefit. That's enough.
Yeah, talking about Belt and Road, Shan. I don't hear much of Belt and Road. The past 6 months to 1 year since the Pakatan Harapan government, right? The previous government go a bit more apprehensive when it comes to Chinese, coming to Malaysia and what has been done. So now the government has been changed. Do you foresee there be more activities on Belt and Road back to Malaysia?
Yes, as you rightly said, Belt and Road is slowing down in the short run. But yes, in the long run, China will want Belt and Road to pick up at a very fast pace. And as I said, the game is in the south. So in the south, you have Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Djibouti, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. These are the countries that are going to benefit with the rise of China and with the money spending in Belt and Road. And China is ready to spend 100 to 200 billion dollars in Belt and Road in the next 6 to 12 months. So countries that will receive Belt and Road amount will move ahead faster as compared to those who are not part of Belt and Road. So as I shared with many of my clients, if you're part of Belt and Road, you're relevant. If you're not part of Belt and Road, you're irrelevant. You're not relevant. You're irrelevant to the market, and the markets don't hold a favorable view in the long run for your country.
I mean, of course, it is nice to be included in the Belt and Road. You mentioned earlier on about one of the economy that we haven't heard for so long, which is Japan, right? So where is Japan in this equation compared to the previous government? Japan become back look east policy, but now we have new government. Do you see Japan going to make a comeback again? Where are they now, and what do you think is happening in Japan now in this pandemic situation?
Khairul, Japan has become irrelevant. When you have negative interest rate, when your people labor productivity is down and your consumption is down, you cannot attract FDI into your country. You cannot attract talent into your country. And as I said, companies, the GDP are driven by people. They are driven by those labor savvy people who have got a burning desire to succeed. And for many economies, focusing on labor productivity has become the major challenge.
Right. So are you saying that Japan will continue to be in the lost decades over and over again?
Yes, I mean they have. This is not the 2 decades. They have lost the third decade as well, and China has taken over from Japan, and I would not be surprised by 2025 if China becomes the largest economy of the world, and Japan becomes number third or maybe number fourth.
Wow. Okay. All right. So let's come back to Malaysia. How do you see the central bank, Bank Negara of Malaysia, handling the situation, Shah? No, the fiscal, the monetary initiative. No, what's your thought about this?
I think every country has got two policies. One is monetary policy that rests with the central bank, and the other is fiscal policy that rests with the government. Uh, I think Bank Nigara has done a very good job in supporting the growth, but most importantly, Bank Nigara has used discount rate to benefit the Malaysian people. Although it is normally felt by 12 to 18%, nothing happens overnight. So I think Malaysia continues to remain on global investors' radar due to her strategic geography and because of labor productivity. And the other issue is that government is quite focused on getting the economic growth back into the momentum. So which is a good sign.
Right. There's now a rising populism. If you read the latest economists talking about globalization is dead. People are going back to buy local, buy ASEAN, trade bloc. So what's your thought about this? I mean, how do we? We know trading is a must, borderless. But if country now, look at US now. They are going about moving back their manufacturers back in the country. Talking about creating job internally. So what's your thought about this? Will this be a new order for the next decade or so? Buy local, buy in terms of the trade bloc.
I think yes. Uh, as we go along, we see Malaysia will open up, and it is already opening up. This will help Malaysia in attracting FDI. Uh, Monetary policy and fiscal policy have taken the center stage. If you pick up last month's Economist magazine, uh, Malaysia spent 16% of its GDP in a stimulus package. So stimulus package, what it does is it tries to create an impact And once it creates impact on the economy, that gives signal to the market to create more jobs. So once you have more jobs, obviously the momentum picks up and that contributes hugely to the overall GDP. So I think moving forward for this year at IQI Juwai, we are saying that the GDP will be between 1 to 2%, and for next year we are expecting GDP between 4.5 and 5%. The premise is very simple: China is back in the market. Aggregate demand should remain solid. We draw parallels with China. We draw parallels with Chinese consumption. So Malaysia and China are more or less on the same page. And thirdly, because of modern infrastructure, which has direct correlation with GDP growth rate.
So, what do you think some strategy that Malaysia could use to reboot back the economy?
I think two things that the government can do. One is macroeconomic stability, to focus on macroeconomic stability, and number two, to enhance the productivity level of people so that they can contribute to the economy at the macro level. So these two things will help Malaysia in coming back into the market at a very strong pace, and the government is trying her best, taking into account the resources and the time frame that they have. They are still trying to manage it in the best possible manner.
Right. I mean, talking about back on topic about pandemic economy and previous economy, right? The pandemic economy, as you said just now, it boosted the new economy called the gig economy. There's certain part of the economy is doing really well. Of course, there are many part of the economy is doing badly. So compared to the old economy that is dying and the new one, which one do you think that we should work on better? Should we worried about, hey, let's bring back the old economy back, or should we just focus on the new economy and enlarge it further? Your thought, Shan?
I think the business model will change of many companies. Pandemic COVID-19 will be a huge a game changer for the market. It will give opportunities to companies to revisit their strategy. It will give opportunity for governments as well to revisit their economic model, so that they maintain productivity, they maintain economic confidence, they maintain strong aggregate demand, and most importantly, they have confidence from consumers so that they are spending money into the economy. So I think post COVID 19, post pandemic, I think the business model will change dramatically, and more focus will be on productivity, healthcare. These are the sectors which will get a lot of attention from many investors.
So talking about new opportunities, Shan, is Juwai IQI is an investment company in the real estate particularly. So in your opinion, from the information that you know, which market would be good for global investment in real estate? Just some tips that we could share with us.
I think what I feel that people will focus more on technology. People will focus more on gig economy, logistics, warehouses. These will attract a lot of investment moving forward. Real estate will continue to be on the global investors' radar. People who understand history and economics, they will always take position in real estate. But one thing that will change, especially if we see the tourism, the travel, the airline industry. 70% of the airlines are locked down. They are not working. It has cost them $350 billion. So I think once the lockdown, once the MCO, once the economic slowdown is over, it will take tourism, hospitality, airlines to come back. It will take a much longer for them, because not many people are interested in traveling right now with so much going on. So I think moving forward, yes, some of the industries will have to revisit. Some industries will be booming. Some industries might have to revisit their economic model and strategies.
So talking about the affected industry, Shan, tourism, airlines, and also I think education, right? So the education industry, I had a chat with some of them yesterday. There is really the students, international students particularly, they will see a great deep if they were to stay in the, if the university going to stay in the old model. So the new model will be more digital learning and stuff like that. So what do you see the challenge? And because, but of course, the university in Malaysia, many of them are still, still old thinking. Take time to take action. So what do you think they should do in order to attract back the students? I bet not being able to attract them physically in Malaysia.
I think digitalization is the future. As you rightly said, you see, education and healthcare, these are two sectors under the government. And the governments are fully aware globally that these two sectors have to change. So, education, online education, will become the new norm. As you have read the report yesterday, Cambridge University is not going to open till 21. Most of the courses will be done online. So I think that's a huge opportunity. Plus, it gives opportunities to students to go to other resources and to improve their skill set instead of confining to one university or one school and to get one knowledge for that particular segment. So I think online gives an opportunity and it gives empowerment to students to use other resources so that they become more effective and productive.
Right.
Healthcare industry will attract a lot of investment, not only from governments but also from private sector, and private sector will drive the industry outlook of healthcare in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, talking about the new industry, and you mentioned just now another affected industry is the retail, right? So I look back at some retail statistics before the COVID, which is Q4 last year. Apparently, it has been trending down for the last 1 2 years. I think the US, we're talking about the retail is dead. Uh, so would you foresee the closure of malls becoming more real in Malaysia post COVID, Shan, or do you see people regret they don't go to malls as often as they should?
A retail model have to be changed. They have to understand that people are not interested in coming to malls. They are more interested in buying online. And if I were to ask you, Khairul, you live in Damansara, would you like to come to KLCC or Pavilion for shopping on Saturday
No,
and Sunday? You will say, Shan,
no,
no,
no way.
it's too
Yeah,
crowded. Traffic
yeah,
is a hassle, parking is a hassle
yeah,
because there are too many people.
yeah.
You will say, Shan, I will do my shopping online. You will go to Zara or Sakor Brothers or other brands and you will do
Yeah,
online shopping. And you will
yeah,
get your stuff in a week's time according to your specification. So I think
yeah.
retailers, they have to understand that business model is changing and the business model is going towards online, is becoming digital. And
Right.
digital is becoming the new norm. So businesses, they have to come out of the old model and they have to focus on the new model. And if you don't adopt technology, you will go back to stone age. So if you want to stay relevant, you have to adopt technology. Technology is the future. So you have to adapt at a very fast pace to adopt technology and to embrace technology so that you move ahead of the game.
Right. Talking about doing online, Sean, I want to bring up a topic that is much talked about now is tax, right? Tax. I mean, do you think the government has been effective and efficient in taxing the the online business, the digital business, or should they do more about it to increase the government revenue?
I think uh, taxing the technology space in Europe has been misfired. It has not benefited the government in collecting tax to GDP or improving the tax to GDP ratio. I think the tax should be based on the revenues instead of taxing things online. Taxing things online is not the solution, in my opinion. I may be wrong. I'm not a tech expert, but in my opinion, they should tax companies, the technology companies, according to the revenues, and they treat these technology companies just like any other companies, like manufacturing or oil and gas. So, but if you tax too much technology companies, it hinders productivity, it hinders innovation, and wherever governments have intervened in the technology space, it has led to distortion of market. It has led to deadweight loss. So, in my opinion, I believe in free markets. I don't believe in government intervention. Let the technology companies operate. You only tax them on their revenues. But if you give them too much dictation, the productivity will be hampered and innovation will go down. So we want people want these technology companies to come up with innovative products. They want productivity to go up, and that can only happen when you don't give them direction. You don't interfere in their day-to-day activity.
Hmm. One of the things that I read in some parts of in the economic reports, they might be the post-pandemic COVID might rise or give rise to government-linked companies, to protect the interests of the people, because many of the small business being wiped out, they have to chase. It takes time to bring back them, into the starting their own business. And just now you said, Shan, that we should let the market economy drive the economy. I mean, this is again, it's imbalance. How do we create a balanced way of economy to give boost back to the local economy? I mean, other than just have a more GLCs around, which is I think is unhealthy personally.
uh, uh, Khairul, we have to understand that every system has got shortcomings. Whether we talk about free market or whether we talk about the government support economy. In this situation, we have seen that free markets can flourish. And once governments intervene too much, it sends wrong signal to the market. So, in my opinion, let the markets do their job, and you give direction to them, give make a policy framework, and then you sit back and relax, and let the private sector do the job. But if you intervene too much, it will hamper private sectors, innovative and their productivity. So, in my opinion, yes, there are shortcomings in every system. Yes, there are GLCs who have to protect people. But I was speaking at PNB last October, and I said the same. And I said GLCs, they need to be independent now, and they need to be market driven, and they need to be competing at the global scale in order to stay ahead of the game, and which is very important. And most of the GLCs, they have smart people working for them, and they can be independent enough as we move along, and they can do it. We have one of the companies that I'm quite impressed by is Khazana, EPF, where I know people who are doing some remarkable job, and they are extremely smart and they're extremely productive. So when you have organization like Khazana and EPF who can be who are doing a good job, others can follow them as well.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Shan, that the likes of Khazana and EPF, they are outstanding in terms of their management, as they deliver, in this definitely in this kind of economy. Right. So there's thinking about new kind of economy coming up, particularly in the manufacturing sector, where like even you see in the COVID environment, there's a lot of production of new materials like the face shield, face mask, and suddenly this thing build up. We talk about waste, after the pandemic. So I mean, what you see, what you foresee going to happen with all these waste around, and do you see going to be a new kind of businesses taking over this waste into something interesting? Your thoughts?
Cheryl, you have touched a very important point, and it goes back to our initial discussion that in every crisis there are opportunities. So, one of the biggest opportunities that came along was the facial mask,
Yeah.
the sanitizers, the
Yeah.
other healthcare equipments. So, people jumped into that industry and they made a lot of money. If you see, initially, face masks were not freely available, not only in Malaysia but in many economies.
Yeah.
And then, once the production started from China and other economies, the face masks are now available without fail in
Yeah.
every store and every market, not only in Malaysia but all other economies. So I
Yeah.
think it depends on how you look at it, at the market, and how you tap those opportunities for your benefit, how you leverage from those opportunities. So to say that, oh, there is crisis, I cannot do anything, sorry, I cannot go out, it's lockdown. Yes, but you have to think how to be innovative, how to leverage from a situation. And I still remember when I was the captain of my school hockey team, my coach used to say that, Shan, give your best shot. The match is not over till the final whistle. And
Mm-hmm.
I was very passive in my strategy. And in hockey, I learned one thing, that you have to be very aggressive in order to outsmart and order to outplay your opponent. In the same way, I apply the same strategy in all situation. In
Mm-hmm.
some of my situation, when I'm very aggressive, I try to use every crisis situation to see opportunity, how I can leverage from that. Obviously, I don't have the skill set all the time. I have to
Mm-hmm.
improve.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other thing that you can share with people, you have to improve your skill set all the time. If I don't adopt technology, I'll be left behind. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, oh, I want to do Astrovani interview while going to the studio. And Astrovani might say, oh, Shan, because of the MCO, because of the lockdown, we are not inviting people. So we do a Skype video.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not comfortable with Skype or other Zoom
Yeah.
interview, then I'll
Mm-hmm.
be left behind. I will go back to Stone Age. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to adopt technology, taking into account the external situation, the exogenous factors, the endogenous factors, and I have to, use technology for my advantage, so that investors or people or viewers who want to seek our knowledge and market intelligence report, they stay ahead of the game. And I
Mm-hmm.
go on TV by using technology to share my
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. Shan, earlier on we talked about unemployment. Let's go back into that unemployment. You said earlier on that the U.S. economy has to generate about 300,000 employment every year, and now up to
Every
now they
month,
have every month,
300,000 every month. This
every
is a
month, and
normal scenario.
yeah, in normal scenario, and now they have lost close to about 40, 50 million jobs, right? I mean, what's your thought about that? How? So, because you talked earlier on about just now your short story about your being innovative, taking technology. So, are you saying that not just in the U.S. but in major economies to bring back that kind of number of jobs in the shortest time possible? What are other ways? They need to have a creative ways to bring those jobs, not like the normal ways, right? So what's your thought about this U.S. unemployment, and what are the creative ways that could bring back the job back to U.S.?
I was talking to Rizal in February in
Mm,
Astravani,
mm,
and I said 47 million people will be unemployed in US by June 2020.
mm,
Right now, when I speak, as of last night, 39 million people have lost their jobs.
mm,
So this will remain a huge challenge. As you rightly said, you have to think in a different manner. You have to think out of the box. How to stay relevant. And the only way to stay relevant is to use technology for your advantage. The only way to stay relevant is to upgrade your skill set and see what the job market is offering. In the next 5 to 10 years, most of the jobs will be created in technology space. Cloud, data scientist, data expert, AI expert. So I think the labor force globally, they have to understand that adopting technology, understanding technology, how they can leverage from technology so that they can get back absorbed into the market quickly. That is the key. And in the next 2 to 3 quarters, I see a lot of challenges for the US economy, because elections are coming on 3rd of November. There is China bashing going on. Uh, the economy is still slowing down, is not picking up. I think US economy will have a major unemployment. I wouldn't be surprised, 25 to 30% of the people will be unemployed in US.
mm. That's pretty bad, right? Talking about a stimulus package, right? In Malaysia, it's been running for about 1.5 month, 2 months now. Do you see an impact in the data points that you have, Shan?
It's too early to say. It's premature to say it's an impact. Every policy instrument of any policy lever, it takes good 12 to 15 months. Even the discount rate that Bank Nigara brings down, the effect will take 12 to 15 months. Too early to say, but overall the market is very cautious. It's in a very precautionary mode, both consumers and businesses. But we foresee, we draw similar we draw parallels with China. We see aggregate demand should pick up by Q3 or by Q4 this year.
On in terms of the bank's sector, for example, no, they gave moratorium up until September, right? Now it's already coming to June. People are anxious. What's going to happen to them? What's your thought about the moratorium up until September? There's been talks about pushing it until December. Your thoughts, Shan? Would this help?
I think the moratorium was a good move. It was a good move on part of the banks to give some relief, taking into account many people were not working, many people were locked down, and they were sitting at home. So I think it's a good move. Whether moratorium will be extended after September remains to be seen. But I think economy should fully be operational by July in Malaysia. I expect the government will say, okay, we open the economy. There will be SOPs. There will be some do's and don'ts that are necessary in order to fight COVID-19 chain, which is necessary because the government wants to take care of the 32.6 million people. At the same time, they want to open up the economy. It's not easy.
Right.
It's a tough call. Economy cannot be played like piano. Some people think that government can, do some magic overnight. Not possible. The economy cannot be played like piano, that you press fiscal note, monetary note, structural note, and you get standard solution. The only place where you get standard solution is mathematics. So it will take some time. The government is trying her best. So let's see what happens in the next 2 to 3 quarters.
Right. Thanks, Shan. All right. One of my last questions, Shan. Talking
Yes,
about the bank stimulus, right? I mean, the bank's moratorium. While it's good for the consumers, but is it really good for the bank? Will it not affect their books, Shan? Your thoughts?
yes, in the short run, the books will be affected, like all the industries. Banks are going through the similar phase as well. The books will make an impact in the short run, but ultimately, when the moratorium is removed, the clients, some clients are still paying. I know some clients are still paying their rentals to in the malls. They're still paying their servicing their debt, personal debt, and mortgage debt, and car loan debt. So I think once the economy opens up and the moratorium is removed, I think banks should be able to sustain 2020. It's for 2020, it's a game of survival, and if you can survive 2020, you can survive any other year, not a problem.
That's very promising, Shan. I look forward for.
And one thing more, you don't have to survive, you have to be quick and fast. So it's not about the survival of the fittest, it's the survival of the quickest.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful, Shan. The survival of the quickest, right? Okay, what, Shan? We want to touch one last part, which is Europe. What's happening in Europe? Sweden, Belgium. Oh,
Europe
I
is
mean,
gone. Kiss the European economy goodbye. Malaysia's GDP first quarter was 0.7. European economy GDP for last quarter 2019 it was 0.1. So you tell me 0.1 is higher or 0.7 is higher? And the major challenge with Europe is productivity. They have a lot of structural issues. They have a lot of policy mismatch. There is macroeconomic instability. When you have macroeconomic instability, when you don't attract FDI, when investors they don't have confidence in the outlook of Europe, you can expect Europe will continue to stay slow down for the next 2 to 3 years.
Would you foresee any new exit from the EU members like Britain because of this post-COVID?
I think we can expect a lot of challenges for EU 28 countries. The basic is they have poor productivity and they don't have policy framework. ECB is running negative interest rate. Negative interest rate have never really worked. Negative interest rates are bad for the economy. It hurts businesses. And that's why the CEO of Allianz, the biggest insurance company, complained last year that businesses is being hurt because of negative interest rate. Negative interest rate is not the issue in Europe. The main issue in Europe is productivity.
Well, I mean, I actually I mean, Europe used to be a powerhouse, particularly Germany. And it turns out Germany did quite well, in the COVID situation. But unlike their other counterparts, in other European bloc like in Sweden, in Belgium, and even in other members in the Europe like Italy, all those. And they also have an aging population. That's probably the productivity hurts a little bit. So now we are wrapping up, Shan. We have another 4 minutes left. So what would be moving forward for the layman, average people can do moving forward to survive or to be the quickest, like you said, for the year, at least 2020?
I would say invest in yourself, improve your skill set all the time, uh, and I would say look at the market, how the markets are shaping up. And I would say one thing that you have to do is keep reading newspapers, try to understand global macro, and trying to bring it down to Malaysia. So my advice to all those people who are watching, improve your skill set, improve your presentation skills to the young crowd, to the students. 80% of your corporate success depends on your communication skills. 15 to 20% are technical skills that you can pick it up very quickly if you put in 1 to 2 weeks hard work. So focus on your communication skills, focus on your English, focus on making solid presentations, improve your skill set, understand the market, what jobs are available in the market, and align your skill set according to the market situation.
Talking about investment, Shan, any tips? Investment, what would be nice to invest? Because you see, there are many. The unit trust, the stock market is down. Of course, some picking up. Some say it's only temporary recovery. Real estate people are scary, although there are plenty around. Your thoughts, Shan? What would be a good thing to invest the next few months?
I only understand one thing, and that is when I was very young, my elders told me that sophisticated and smart investors who understand, who fathom history and economics, they have always taken position in two asset classes. One is real estate, the other is gold. And the third asset class that I am advocating is cash. Stay long on cash, stay long on gold, and stay long on real estate. Real estate and gold are tangible stuff. You can touch the walls of your house. You can have gold in your own possession, physical gold. And cash gives you financial and economic empowerment.
Yeah, but real estate, Shan. We know real estate of understandable, but there are certain real estate that goes down in value over time. Any particular real estate or asset class that you wanted to share with us that worth look at?
Go to those areas like Old Klang Road, which is booming. It hits 5 areas. You have Siri Pataling, you have KL Central, you have KL, you have Puchong. So 5 areas are hitting Old Klang Road. Go to areas where demographics is strong. Go to areas where you have infrastructure investment happening. So go to areas where the areas are booming, where you have offices, schools, colleges, where you have support and where you have convenience. So Old Klang Road, Bangsar South, these are some of the areas where smart investors are moving into right now.
All right. Okay, good. Okay, Shan, I think we want to wrap up the session. So thank you so much, and I think it's been great to have you in the session. And there are a lot of good key points talking about the pandemic economy versus the previous economy. So what I could wrap up here, Shan, is the pandemic economy has brought us also some good direction, some new what we call breath of air, give a fresh breath of air from the previous economy. Of course, moving forward, we should invest in ourselves. I pick it up that very strongly. Improve your skill, and I like your long part about the recommendation about go long on cash, invest in real estate, and invest in gold, right? And of course,
Yes.
2 years ago I started to look for gold, and today it has gone up by, well, I think more than 10%, I guess, compared to the last 2 years.
Gold has gone up by 60% since December 2015. In December, it was
Yeah.
1089, and today, when I talk to you, is 1725 or 30. So gold has
Wow.
gone up by almost 60% in 5 years' time, and this
Wow.
is the third bull run. And at IQI Juwai, we have already said next year we expect gold to be trading between $2,200 to $2,500 per ounce. Bank of America is saying $3,000 per ounce by December 21. So gold, real estate, these are tangible stuff. And people who understand history and economics, they have always taken position in these two asset classes.
Wow, that's wonderful, Shan. Okay, Shan, thank you so much for joining me in the Ice Chat, and I will catch up with you again once more. Have a good day. Selamat berpuasa. Happy Hari Raya to you.
Thank you. I would like to say Eid Mubarak to everyone who is
Yes.
listening to you, your viewers. Please look after yourself, enjoy your food, enjoy your holidays, and stay safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, everyone. Thank you so much. That's Shan, the chief economist from Juwai IQI, the man that we should listen to. All right, I would like to add what Shan is saying this morning. A wonderful sharing from Shan on economics. From what I understand from the sharing from Shan is the pandemic economy has brought us new opportunities, and the gig economy, the working from home, the technology, the a lot of other stuff, right? While the previous economy also we've been trading on what is safe, what is sure. The pandemic economy give us something totally new. So we're probably at the great reset situation, and many companies, small companies, including my company as well, that we can use this to our advantage. And the big company probably take longer time to respond themselves, but the smaller company might take faster time, be agile, and use technology to upgrade yourself, right? So for the layman, the average people, like many of us here, use the technology to upgrade yourself, uh, invest in real estate, go for gold, save some money, go long on cash. Now, don't buy things unnecessarily unless you really need to, and stay safe, right? Uh, on the reading part, Sean mentioned just now on the reading part for the young people, for the younger generation, the graduates or younger than that, read on the macroeconomics, read on local newspaper, read on the global newspaper. Bring back all the links to yourself so that you can able to change yourself and ride the economy. So this year economy 2020 is about the survival, but also not just surviving, but the quickest to survive. So if you're quick to survive, if you're quick to change, 2021 we might foresee 5% to 9% according to IMF, 9% as well, some V correction, or a deeper U shape change in the economy. With that, thank you so much. This is the final ice chat before the Hari Raya, before the Eid Mubarak. My name is Khairul. Selamat Hari Raya. Maaf Zahir Batin to all Malaysians out there who is listening. And please join us again after Raya. We have a special session, special package. I'm going to announce it yet. We're still wrapping up some stuff over here. Join Ice Chat, Innovation, Change, and Entrepreneurship. Helping people get back on their feet is good economics. Remember that. Now, helping people get back on their feet is good economics. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum. Have a good day. Stay safe. Selamat Hari Raya. Bye bye.